You know how I said on my last episode that it should be a good week for the Cards? Well, the Brewers did their part, dropping 3 out of 4 to the Cubs. But the Cardinals? We need to talk. I'll do that next. Cards got swept for the second series in a row, this time at the hands of the Washington Nationals. The Nationals? Really? We start with Tuesday night, as they blew a 6-1 lead and ended up losing the game 8-6. Things started out great. Albert Pujols hits a 2-run homer in the first, his 15th of the season. Even Lance Berkman got in on the fun, hitting his 17th of the year off their starter, Yuniesky Maya, in the fourth for the 3-0 lead. Next inning, Berkman gets an RBI groundout with the bases loaded, while Yadier Molina and recent call-up Andrew Brown got RBI singles to make it a 6-1 game. Meanwhile, Jaime Garcia, he was getting back into his groove, going 6 innings, giving up 2 runs on 8 hits, but he did manage to strike out 7. The only downside, he threw 107 pitches in those innings, so basically, his night was finished. And that brings us to the bullpen. The easiest thing would be to have Mitchell Boggs pitch in the 7th, Eduardo Sanchez in the 8th, and Fernando Salas in the 9th. And we would have then started out the week with a 6-2 win. Not so fast. Eduardo was unavailable due to a strained shoulder, and eventually he was placed on the disabled list. And why would you have the guys I mentioned when you have the likes of Miguel Batista, Trevor Miller, and Ryan Franklin as other viable options? Sure enough, I was partially right. Miguel Batista comes in to start the 7th. It starts out good. He gets Jerry Hairston to fly out to Berkman for the first out. Then, Jason Worth walks, Ian Desmond singles, Ryan Zimmerman, fresh off the disabled list, doubles in the Geico Caveman. Oops, I meant Worth. Michael Morse grounds out to score yet another run. Danny Espinosa gets an RBI single to make it 6-5. Then Wilson Ramos singles, and that's the end of Batista's night. Or is it? Trevor Miller comes in. First pitch, he hits Roger Bernardina to load the bases. After that, he throws a wild hit to pinch hitter Punch Rodriguez. Espinosa scores, and we're tied. It doesn't end there. Enter Jason Mott. He walks Lance Nix for the winning run. Then Worth singles in another insurance run. If you're keeping score, that's 5 runs on 4 hits with a walk in 2/3 innings for Batista. Somebody want to explain why he's still in the majors, much alone baseball? He's at least 40. Should have retired a long time ago. Moving on to Wednesday night. They lost bad. Bad as in 10-0 bad. It would be the worst loss to the Nationals since 1996, when they were known as the Montreal Expos. It also marked the return of Kyle McClellan off the disabled list. To make room, they sent Matt Carpenter back to Memphis. Kyle McClellan didn't have the best of nights. He gives up a homer to Morris from the 2nd for the 1-0 lead. Albert Pujols was once again playing third base. Big mistake. He commits 2 errors, each of which would result in a run. The first was a throwing error in the 3rd when Worth got on base, who eventually scores on a single by Ryan Zimmerman. The next was on a fielding error on an Ian Desmond ground ball. Desmond didn't score, but Espinosa did, and we're now down 4-0. Bernardina would get an RBI double later in the inning, and after 4, we're down 5-0. Moving on to the 6th, Ryan Franklin comes in to pitch. And for the sake of keeping any sanity I have left, I switched the channel to watch what was left of Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. That game wasn't much either, and I'm blaming Franklin for that as well. But seriously, congratulations to the Boston Bruins on winning the Stanley Cup, their first in 39 years. And congratulations to the city of Vancouver on destroying your city and making South Central LA look pretty tame whenever the Lakers win an NBA title. Which is something that LeBron James knows absolutely nothing about. Had to throw that in there. Alright, I guess we'll get back to Franklin. Or, as my girlfriend calls him, suckling. 6th inning. Pudge gets a leadoff double, then scores on a Desmond hit. 7th inning. Back-to-back homers. A 2-run shot by Morse, followed by a home run by Espinoza. And it's now 9-0 Nats. Remember that part about me explaining how you can't leave that guy out there for more than 1 inning? Yeah, you see why, right? He's pulled after 1 2/3 innings. 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 home runs allowed.
Hey, you're all washed up. Would you please shut up? Take a walk away.
Brian Tallis next. Only thing he does is give up a solo home run to Worth in the 8th. As for the Cardinals offense, what offense? Livan Hernandez shuts them down with a complete game 3-hit shutout, striking out 6 and walking no one. Thursday night, Nationals Park becomes a launching pad. The Cards show some life, but they still come up short. They lose this one in 10 innings, 7-4. Right out of the chute, Kyle Loesch is in trouble. He gives up a leadoff back-to-back home runs to Worth and Bernardina, and we're down 2-0. Matt Holliday's back in the lineup, leads off the 2nd with a solo shot to left, his 7th of the year. Yachty grounds out in the 4th with runners on 2nd and 3rd. This allows Pujols to score and ties things up at 2. But Morse doubles in the bottom of the inning, then scores on a hit by Espinoza. Lance Berkman is charged with the throwing error, but it appeared that Molina didn't even try to stop that ball from getting away. Nix hits a solo shot in the 6th, and the Nats are now up by 2. The man homers in the 8th for his 16th, and Yachty leads off the 9th with the solo shot to tie things up. That leads us to the bottom of the 10th. Fernando Salas entered his 2nd inning of work. Gives up a single to Zimmerman, gets Nix a strikeout, but then follows that up by hitting Morse. Danny Espinoza gets the 3-run homer to end the game and finish off the sweep, their first against the Cardinals since 2007. What's worse? For the Cardinals, it's their 2nd straight time that they've been swept, and they've now lost 6 straight. Through this, the starting rotation has become shaky, the defense lackluster, hitting almost non-existent, and the bullpen is in total shambles. However, as I mentioned earlier, the Brewers dropped 3 out of 4 to the Cubs, and miraculously, we're only a game out of first in the NL Central. So, my question of the day, what's it going to take for the Cardinals to turn this thing around? Let me know. Submit your answers, comments, questions, responses, or anything else in the comment box below. Subscribe on YouTube, follow me on Twitter, and don't forget to check out www.I70baseball.com. Speaking of I-70, the Cards return home to face their cross-state counterparts, the Kansas City Royals, this weekend. And as you may recall, last time we faced them, they were touting their future in a first baseman named Eric Hosmer. This time, they added a can't-miss third baseman named Mike Moustakas. Will the Cards get out of their slump? Only one way to find out. Oh yeah, both teams are raising money this weekend to help those tornado victims in Joplin, Missouri by selling commemorative patches for $10. Coincidentally, both teams will be wearing those patches on the sleeves of their jerseys. The Cardinals will also be holding silent auctions on top of that. So, have a great weekend. And to all the dads out there, including mine, have a safe and wonderful Happy Father's Day. Go Cards!